The Duke of Sussex has been working on this intimate and heartfelt memoir since 2020 with the help of a ghostwriter. Now, it had initially been pencilled in for release this autumn. It isn't clear what will be in the book, but there are fears it could put strain on his family relationships, particularly with his stepmother, Camilla. Now, the Prince has already openly criticised his childhood and upbringing in an interview with the Armchair Expert podcast last year, while his interview alongside the Duchess of Sussex with Oprah Winfrey has apparently put strain on royal relationships after the pair claimed that they had been cut off financially. So what do you guys think? Owen, what do you think here? Do you think, number one, the book could be controversial? And do you think maybe he should scrap it altogether?
I hope it's controversial. Spill the dirt. Can't wait. Very excited. I think he should obviously go ahead with this book, partly, to be honest with you, because whatever you think about the monarchy, personally, I'm in the 25% of the population or so to have an elected head of state instead. But I do actually think it's important to have more transparency about how it actually works, what goes on behind the scenes. They are, obviously, the Queen is a head of state, the royal family is our ruling family. And actually, I don't think we know much actually about them at all. I mean, there's the crown, I guess. Not quite sure how factual a lot of that is. So I think having an insider account from someone who actually might be a bit critical and maybe will kind of cast a bit of light into the dark shadows of the royal family is actually quite healthy for our democracy. But also, I just want all the messy details as well.
Mike, what do you think?
Well, the problem is insider account, right? But how truthful is the insider account when it comes from Harry? A first-hand account of my life that's accurate and wholly truthful. Well, I'm afraid that, there's been a lot of doubt about a lot of what Harry and his wife Meghan have said publicly so far. The royal family themselves, recollections may vary, all right, and people questioning an awful lot of what they've revealed so far in the first opera interview.
But it's going to be his truth. It's going to be his truth, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's going to be his truth.
Well, it is going to be his truth. He says, I'm writing this not as the prince I was born, but as the man I've become. Many people would say, we don't really like the man you've become, we prefer the man you were after.
When he was dressing up in Nazi uniforms. Yes. Oh, I think he's gone on a bit of a journey, which is a good thing.
But for you to say,
and using racist slurs,
gives us an inside insight into the royal family. It doesn't. It gives us his version of it. And he's very embittered, a very embittered man. I don't think he's so embittered. He's trying to sue the Metropolitan Police because he wants bodyguards when he comes to this country.
First of all, he's not suing the Metropolitan Police. He's trying to be able to make sure that he could pay for his family, for their protection, coming here for him to pay, by the way.
He's lost
not coming out of our
reality.
I don't think he's embittered. I think he's angry that his wife has been systematically vilified by much of the British media and, frankly, briefed against by much of the royal family. And I think, frankly, that the first woman of colour to be admitted into the royal family, you know what I mean, to being treated like that is a bit of a shocker, frankly.
Wouldn't you defend your wife, Mike? If you felt somebody was going for them, was attacking them, was writing falsehoods about them, wouldn't you defend them?
That wasn't one of the points we were talking about. Of course I would defend my wife. What we're talking about is whether or not we can believe Harry with his wholly truthful account of what's happened to him in his life. He didn't want to be a member of the royal family more, so he copped out. Now he's copped out. He seems to want to do nothing but attack the family that he was born into. And by the way, shouldn't the members of the royal family sign something like the Official Secrets Act so that they can't
Let's remember, his mother was killed after being chased by the press. Yeah. I'm sure it's within his own right
his mother was
to
killed.
make sure that doesn't happen.
His mother was killed because the driver of her car was drunk and smashed into a concrete pillar.
Was the press chasing her? And the driver. Anyway, really quickly, let's bring in a royal expert.
Diana all of her life.
OK, let's bring in a royal expert, shall we? Angela Levine, just to get her view on this. She's written a number of books on Prince Harry. Good morning to you, Angela. How do you feel about this tell-all memoir? Do you think it's right for Prince Harry to scrap it?
Well, we don't know what's in it, so I don't think we can say whether it's right or not. He's obviously had some doubts, because otherwise it would be on the publisher's list and out in a month or so. It's obviously also been very well written, because he had somebody to write it who's won awards. So
we don't know whether the reason is because he does have doubts, though. We don't know that.
Pardon?
We don't know the reason why the book has been delayed is because Prince Harry has doubts.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I think, but if you exclude those two things, and it wasn't written by somebody who's no good, and the publishers changed their mind, they're about to pay an awful lot of money for it. I think people have mentioned 13, 14 million pounds. So it's got to be very, very powerful. And presumably they want really sort of aggressive comments in it. But I think he's having a bit of a second thought, because he needs to be connected to the royal family more strongly than he is at the moment, because the publicity and the popularity of the couple in America, not in the UK, in America, is plummeting, because they're also angry about Meghan talking about American politics when she calls herself the Duchess of Sussex. You know, they don't really want somebody who's having an English title telling the Americans what to do. So I think it's a very, very complicated issue, but they do need the royal family to earn money. So if they are as unkind and thoughtless as happened before, I think that they are perhaps rethinking it, because
Angela, do you think Princess Diana? Do you think Princess Diana was unkind when she spoke to the BBC's Panorama in the 90s? Do you think Prince Charles was unkind when he spoke to Jonathan Dimbleby?
But I'm not talking about Prince Charles or Diana.
Yeah,
you
why
asked
are
me
you,
to
Angela?
come on and
But
talk about
why is Prince Harry unkind?
I know Harry very
Why is
well.
Prince Harry unkind, doing the very same thing his parents did? Is my debate, my argument.
I spent a year and a quarter with Harry, so I know him very well. So I feel I can say something. I didn't spend time with
Angela,
Diana,
this is it.
but
You've written
on
about
that.
Let's go to the phones right now, shall we? We mentioned her before the break. Sonia is calling from Essex. Sonia, what do you think about this? Do you think Prince Harry should just scrap the memoir altogether?
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonia.
I think that Prince Harry should continue with his memoirs. I think there's been a lot written about Harry and Meghan. And I don't think, there's so many royal experts, but I don't think Harry and Meghan are speaking to the royal experts. They're just making up stories. And I think he and his wife should be able to speak their truth. I go up and I think, and I keep reading about how all these 17 lies that they told on Oprah. I'm not sure I remember of 17 lies, but, something obviously happened to Harry and Meghan within the royal family. And it continues, I believe the royals are behind some of the stories that have been leaked about this couple. And I think they should be given, his memoirs should point out all the stuff that's gone on. The bullying report, for instance, what happened to that? The whole world knew or was told that there was this investigation that would take place, and they named the wife as a bully. Now, the report's out, but we don't get to hear whether or not she was found guilty of bullying, or in fact, the report shows that the royal family, used that to try and silence Meghan and Harry for that Oprah interview.
I think Sonia makes a really good point in that Mike said, well, how do you know it's true and all the rest of it, what they say? Well, actually, so much ink is spilled about Harry and Harry and Meghan, blimey, but in the media on an almost daily basis. And we don't have their full story and full account. We had, obviously, the Oprah Winfrey interview, but, that was just one interview. I think a thorough book. And you know what? Nye Bevan, who founded the NHS, said, this is my truth, tell me yours. It's obviously up to the royal family. They can respond. And I found it odd, the royal expert before who came on and for some inexplicable reason was perfectly fine about other royals having spoken to journalists at length about their own experiences, but Harry and Meghan were an exception. And she said because she hung out with Harry, I don't know why that makes him an exception. But they should be able to say their truth.
Sonia makes the point there. She said that the 17 lies in the Opera documentary. I'd never heard that figure before, so I don't know where she got that from. But we do know, for instance, that Meghan claimed they'd been married before the actual wedding ceremony, which the whole world celebrated. Okay. That turned out later not to be an accurate account.
Let's give Sonia a chance to respond. Sonia, what do you make of that?
Can I just say the 17 lies come from the Daily Mail, comes from the Red Tops.
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah, OK, Sonia, listen, I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you saying that. What I'm saying is there's a clear indication of how things can be embellished when Harry and Meghan are talking to make it perhaps more sensational, because Meghan claimed they'd been married in a secret ceremony before the day of their official wedding. If that happened because the Archbishop of Canterbury had to confirm that he did not marry.
But Mike,
so aren't they trying to sensationalise what they're telling?
No, but Mike, actually, this is a really good
That's the claim Piers Morgan made.
But this is a really good point you just made, actually, because the difference with a book has to go through so much proofreading and it gets legaled by a lawyer. So every detail has to be
TV documentaries don't.
No, I'm just saying it's more difficult when you're in an interview, when you're just trying to recall information. You don't always get it right. That's nobody does.
You forgot when you got married? Well, it was a sensational statement to sensationalise the interview, and the book will be sensationalised.
People mess up in interviews, is all I'm saying. And I think in a book, it has to be very rigorous and fact-checked. It's a different type of document.
Sonia, thank you very much for your call.